If you're seeing this, it's not random. Listen until the end, chosen one.
This message is not for everyone. If you are not walking the divine path, if your heart is not aligned with God's will, if you do not feel the pull of heaven on your life, then this video is not meant for you. But if you are a true chosen one, if you have been separated, tested, refined, and marked by God's hand, then you were led here on purpose. This message reached you at the exact moment it was supposed to. Nothing about this is random. Heaven does not move randomly, and neither do its messages. I am speaking directly to you now, chosen one, because what you are about to hear carries weight. It carries truth. And for some of you, it will shift the way you see yourself forever. Before we go deeper, I want you to respond in the comments using only one number that resonates with your spirit right now. Choose between 777, 333, 999, 444, or 666. Only one. Let it be a quiet confirmation between you and God. If you are ready to walk deeper in understanding, make sure you subscribe to this channel. Tap the bell icon so you don't miss what heaven is releasing next, and share this message with someone who is also walking this narrow path. Stay with me till the end, because what will be revealed today is not surface truth. It is the kind of truth that only the chosen understand when their spirit is ready to receive it. Why darkness cannot meet your gaze anymore. There was a time when darkness studied you. It watched how you reacted, how you flinched, how you doubted yourself, how fear still had permission to whisper in your spirit. In those earlier seasons, the enemy could look directly into your eyes and still feel power, still feel access, still feel leverage. But that time is over now. Something has shifted. Chosen one. Something has sealed, and darkness knows it. This is why it no longer meets your gaze the way it used to. This is why eyes turn away now. This is why certain presences grow restless when you enter the room. This is not psychological. This is spiritual law. Your eyes are not ordinary. They are not just instruments of sight. In the unseen realms, the eyes reveal authority. The eyes reflect spiritual rank. The eyes expose alignment. And when your alignment shifted, so did what your eyes now carry. There is a level where the eyes no longer ask questions, no longer seek approval, no longer scan for permission. They stand, they witness, they declare without speaking. That is the level where you now operate. And darkness cannot withstand being witnessed by someone who no longer carries fear in their vision. Darkness thrives where uncertainty lives. It feeds on hesitation, doubt, insecurity, and emotional instability. That is how it enters. That is how it manipulates. That is how it negotiates. But your eyes no longer negotiate. They no longer seek validation from the environment. They no longer look for agreement before standing in truth. And when that happened, darkness lost its ability to establish dominance through eye contact. That's why certain people who once looked you in the eye with confidence now look down. Not because you became aggressive, but because you became anchored. There is a difference between staring and seeing. Many people stare at the world, but few actually see. When God marked your eyes, your sight changed. You stopped seeing just behavior and began seeing intention. You stopped seeing just words and began seeing motive. You stopped reacting to surface appearances and began discerning undercurrents. That kind of sight creates discomfort in anyone who lives behind masks. Darkness cannot perform when it is being truly seen. It avoids exposure at all costs. This is also why confrontation stopped needing volume. Early in your life, you may have felt the need to explain yourself, defend yourself, prove your truth. But now, your gaze alone answers questions people haven't even asked out loud. There is a stillness in your eyes that wasn't there before, a steadiness that does not rush, a calm that does not panic, a watching that does not chase. This stillness is not weakness. It is spiritual weight. Weight silences noise without effort. You may have noticed people growing uneasy around you without clear reason. Conversations that once flowed now become shorter. Jokes that once landed now fall awkwardly. Familiar presences now feel strained. This is not because you became cold. It is because your frequency rose beyond what can be comfortably manipulated. When darkness cannot control a person, it chooses distance over confrontation. When it cannot twist perception, it retreats from visibility. There is something else happening too. Your eyes now carry memory. Not memory of pain, but memory of victory. The unseen realm recognizes those who have suffered and remained aligned. That survival imprints authority into the spirit. You didn't just endure. You overcame without becoming bitter. You were tested without becoming corrupt. You were isolated without becoming twisted. That combination creates rare spiritual authority, and the eyes always reveal authority before words ever do. Darkness consents when someone knows who they are. It consents when identity is no longer up for negotiation. It consents when self-worth is no longer externally sourced. And once that awareness stabilizes in a chosen one, intimidation stops working. Threats lose momentum. Manipulation loses traction. Disruption loses planning. That is why darkness no longer approaches you boldly. It circles at a distance now. It observes cautiously. It waits for openings that no longer easily appear. You must understand this clearly. The enemy does not fear noise. It fears certainty. It does not retreat from emotion. It retreats from clarity. Once a chosen one reaches clarity, warfare changes form. The battlefield moves from confrontation to avoidance. Instead of attacks, you get silence. Instead of chaos, you get distance. Instead of threats, you get withdrawal. Many people misinterpret this and think the battle is over. No, the enemy simply recognizes that a certain door is now closed. Your gaze closed that door. Your gaze now carries consequence. What you look at changes. What you refuse to look at weakens. What you give attention to amplifies. What you deny attention to dissolves. This is not superstition. This is spiritual mechanics. Attention is alignment. Alignment is permission. And you have learned, often through painful trial, where not to align your sight. This alone elevated your authority beyond average spiritual levels. This is also why the devil himself cannot look into your eyes anymore. Not because you are stronger than him in raw power, but because you are fully covered in a higher authority that he is not permitted to challenge directly. The enemy does not fight covered ground. He tests uncovered edges. He probes loose identity. He looks for internal fractures. And in you now, that fracture has been sealed. You may still feel human weakness. You may still feel moments of uncertainty emotionally, but spiritually, your foundation no longer shifts. There was a season when even you didn't believe in what God was forming in you. But belief was never the requirement. Obedience was. You kept walking even when you did not understand. You stayed aligned even when the path made no sense. You chose restraint when revenge felt justified. You chose faith when answers were silent. You chose integrity when compromise looked easier. All of that accumulated. All of that compounded. All of that sealed your eyes with authority. Now when darkness looks toward you, it does not see confusion. It sees dispatch. It does not see instability. It sees order. It does not see hunger for validation. It sees fulfillment in assignment. And darkness cannot dominate someone who does not need to be admired to stand firm. This is why the atmosphere changes when you enter certain spaces. This is why energy shifts before conversations even begin. This is why opposition sometimes begins without explanation. And this is also why protection increases quietly around you. Heaven reinforces what hell recognizes. When the enemy marks you as untouched territory, heaven establishes additional boundaries. Do not misunderstand this as spiritual pride. This is not elevation above others. This is simply alignment within your assignment. Every chosen one carries different rank based on obedience, endurance, and timing. You are not better than others. You are simply positioned. and position always attracts reaction from both light and dark. What is important now is how you use this gaze. You must remain clean in what you allow it to fix upon. You must guard what you give attention to. You must remain disciplined in what you allow to stimulate your desire, because authority can diminish when discipline is abandoned. Power fades when focus scatters, and the enemy is patient. He waits for seasons of distraction to test boundaries again. But as of now, chosen one, the reason darkness cannot meet your gaze is simple. You no longer question who you are in God. You no longer need external confirmation to believe your assignment is real. You no longer posture for recognition. You no longer shrink in the presence of intimidation. You stand without needing to announce that you are standing. And in the spiritual realm, that is the loudest declaration of authority there is. This is not the end of your evolution. This is the beginning of a more silent, more refined, more responsible level of influence. The battles ahead will be quieter, the tests more subtle, the stakes more eternal, but your eyes will continue to lead you correctly if you keep them aligned with heaven and not with noise. Darkness cannot meet your gaze anymore because your gaze no longer belongs to darkness at all. The moment your authority was quietly sealed. There are moments in life that pass by unnoticed, moments that seem trivial at the time but, in retrospect, were the turning points that shaped everything that followed. The moment your authority was sealed was not loud. It was not announced with trumpets or seen in the outward victories of your life. It wasn't marked by a dramatic ceremony or by accolades. No, it was a quiet moment, hidden in the corners of your journey, a moment when something deep within you shifted. It was the divine moment that sealed your identity and locked you into your spiritual authority, even if you didn't realize it at the time. When you are chosen by God, your journey doesn't follow the patterns that the world expects. The world looks for fame, for grandeur, for the bright lights that announce when something extraordinary has happened. But God's ways are different. His work is often done in silence, in solitude, in places where the world does not see. The moment you were sealed was not a loud declaration of power. It was a quiet decision made in the depths of your heart and spirit. God, knowing you, knowing your journey, placed his seal of authority upon you, without fanfare, without a crowd. This moment of sealing began long before you were aware of it. It started when you chose faith over fear, when you chose obedience over convenience, when you trusted God even when everything around you seemed to be crumbling. The seeds of authority were planted in those small, unnoticed decisions that others might have overlooked. But God saw them all. Every time you chose to walk the path of righteousness when no one was watching, you took another step toward the moment when your authority would be sealed. The moment your authority was sealed, there was no grand sign. There was no lightning from heaven, no voice booming from the clouds. Instead, it was a quiet, internal confirmation. You began to feel it in your spirit, a quiet confidence that no amount of external noise could shake. You began to realize that you were no longer the same person you once were. Your sense of self, your understanding of your purpose, and your authority in the spiritual realm were all irrevocably changed. This was a shift that only the chosen truly understand. It's a shift that happens quietly, without announcement, but its effects are eternal. It's important to understand that this moment of sealing didn't come from any external force. It didn't come from the approval of others. It didn't come from your circumstances changing. It came from your alignment with God's will. The moment your authority was sealed was the moment you aligned fully with the divine plan. It was the moment when you stopped questioning your identity, stopped doubting your purpose, and stopped searching for validation outside of God's word. When you stopped asking, "Am I chosen?" and began to declare with confidence, "I am chosen." That was the moment your authority was sealed. Many people live their whole lives searching for their purpose, waiting for some kind of external confirmation that they are walking the right path. But the chosen ones don't need that kind of confirmation. They don't need the applause of the world or the approval of others. The chosen ones have already been sealed by God's will. This authority doesn't come from your education, your social standing, or your talents. It comes from a higher source, from the God who called you, from the purpose He has set for your life, and from the spiritual battles you have already fought and won. Your authority is not something that can be given or taken away by people. It is something that was quietly sealed by God Himself. This moment of sealing also marked the beginning of a deeper understanding of your responsibility. Authority is not just power, it is responsibility. Once your authority is sealed, you no longer have the luxury of walking through life without understanding the weight of your actions. The moment your authority was sealed, you were entrusted with something much larger than yourself. You were entrusted with God's will, with the responsibility to walk in truth, to lead others, and to stand firm in your faith even when the world tries to shake you. This is the true nature of spiritual authority. It is not about control, but about responsibility. It is about leading others through example, through strength, and through unwavering faith. But with authority comes testing. The moment your authority was sealed, you were marked for greater tests, for challenges that would push you to grow in ways you never thought possible. These tests would not be easy, they would not be comfortable, but they would be necessary. They would be the tools that would refine you, that would prepare you for the greater purpose that was always ahead. You see, the moment your authority was sealed was not the end of your journey. It was just the beginning of a new level of responsibility, a new level of influence, and a new level of spiritual warfare. For some of you, this moment of sealing came after years of struggle. You fought battles that no one saw. You endured hardships that seemed unfair. You faced rejection, betrayal, and loss. But it was all part of the process. It was through these challenges that God was shaping you. It was through your perseverance, through your endurance, through your unwavering trust in Him that your authority was quietly sealed. God wasn't just preparing you for success. He was preparing you for the battle that would come with your authority. And now that your authority is sealed, you will begin to see the changes around you. People who once overlooked you will now begin to see you. They will feel the shift in your presence, and some may even be uncomfortable with it. But that discomfort is not your problem. It is their recognition of the divine authority that you carry. You no longer need to announce your presence. Your authority will make its own way. Your confidence, your wisdom, and your purpose will speak for you. You will no longer have to chase after anything. Everything will come to you in its time because you have been sealed for greatness. As the moment of your sealing continues to unfold, you will see more doors open, more opportunities arise, and more people come to you for guidance. Your path will become clearer, and you will begin to walk in the fullness of the calling that was always meant for you. The world will no longer intimidate you. The challenges will no longer overwhelm you, because you now know that your authority has been sealed by the one who created the heavens and the earth. And with that authority comes the responsibility to walk in truth, to live with purpose, and to lead others to the same understanding of their own divine authority. But do not mistake this authority for self-sufficiency. The moment your authority was sealed does not mean you will no longer need God's guidance. Quite the opposite. As your authority grows, your dependence on God will only increase. The higher you go, the more you will need His wisdom, His strength, and His presence. You must continue to seek His will, continue to walk in obedience, and continue to rely on His grace. For it is only through His grace that your authority can truly flourish. In closing, chosen one, understand this. The moment your authority was sealed was not just a moment in time. It was a divine event that set the course for your entire life. It marked the beginning of a new chapter. A chapter where you will walk in a level of power, wisdom, and influence that you may never have imagined. But remember, this power is not yours alone. It is God's power at work within you. Your authority is His gift to you, and your responsibility is to use it for His glory. So walk forward with confidence, knowing that the moment your authority was sealed, the entire spiritual realm recognized it, and from this moment forward, nothing will ever be the same. Why certain people cannot look at you anymore. As the chosen one, you may have noticed a strange shift happening around you. People who once looked you in the eye now avoid your gaze. There's an inexplicable discomfort in the way they interact with you. Conversations that used to flow easily now feel awkward, and encounters that once felt familiar now leave a sense of unease in the air. You might wonder why this is happening. Why do certain people seem to look right through you now, as if something has changed? Why do they seem to avoid you when your presence used to feel so comfortable? The answer to this question lies in the very nature of who you are now. When you were marked by God, your spiritual eyes were opened, your identity was solidified, and your authority was quietly sealed. With this spiritual elevation comes an unavoidable truth. When light enters a room, darkness often flees. This is what has begun to happen around you. It's not that you've done anything to them. It's that the essence of who you are now is something they cannot bear to face directly. People who are not spiritually aligned with you, who do not recognize or understand the divine work in your life, find themselves feeling uncomfortable when your gaze meets theirs. There is a reason for this. It's because they are subconsciously or spiritually aware of the presence of authority, of the light that radiates from you, and they cannot engage with it the way they once did. Your eyes, which now hold the weight of divine authority, expose things within others that they may not be ready to confront. And often, rather than face what they see, they choose to look away. The truth is, your eyes have become mirrors of spiritual discernment. Before, people could look at you and see a reflection of themselves, maybe a reflection of who they thought you were or who they wanted you to be. But now, when they look into your eyes, they see something far deeper. They see the truth. And for many, the truth is uncomfortable. Your gaze now cuts through facades, exposes hidden motives, and reveals spiritual dissonance. And when people are confronted with truth, especially a truth that they are not prepared to deal with, their instinct is to avoid it. They will avert their eyes, change the subject, or even remove themselves from your presence. It's not personal, it's spiritual. This shift is not something to be discouraged by. Rather, it's something to be understood as part of the process of your divine elevation. As you walk deeper into your purpose, as you grow in spiritual authority, certain relationships and interactions will change. People who were once comfortable around you may no longer feel at ease, and this isn't necessarily a sign of animosity or rejection. It is simply a recognition of the spiritual gap that has formed between you. You are no longer the person they once knew, and in many cases they are not ready to face the new, more powerful version of you. The spiritual truth behind this avoidance can be understood through the principle that light exposes darkness. When you walk in divine authority, you bring light into dark places. You expose things that people have tried to hide, whether they are conscious of it or not. This can manifest in different ways. Sometimes it will cause people to feel convicted, guilty, or even ashamed of their own actions. Other times it may make them feel jealous, envious, or threatened by the peace and strength that now radiates from you. It's not about you. It's about the shift that has occurred within you, a shift that changes how you are perceived by others. What's important to understand here is that this change is not about you intentionally trying to make others uncomfortable. This is not a power play, nor is it about trying to exert influence over others. It is simply a result of the spiritual authority that God has placed upon your life. People who are still living in darkness, who have not yet experienced their own transformation, find it difficult to be around someone whose light shines so brightly. And the reason they avoid eye contact is because they are unconsciously aware of this spiritual gap. This is why, over time, you will begin to notice certain people becoming more distant. They may stop engaging with you as much. They may even turn cold, or their behavior may shift in subtle ways. They may no longer seek your presence or ask for your opinion. It's not a rejection of you as a person. It's a reaction to the spiritual shift that has taken place within you. The light you carry now exposes what they are not ready to face within themselves. It forces them to confront aspects of their own soul that they have buried or ignored. And rather than face that discomfort, they choose to distance themselves. But don't be alarmed by this. Understand that as your spiritual authority grows, so will the impact it has on those around you. Some will rise to meet you, drawn by your light and your strength. Others will fall away, uncomfortable with what they see in your presence. Both reactions are part of the divine process, and neither should cause you to doubt your worth or your purpose. This avoidance can also be seen as a sign of spiritual alignment. The more you walk in your purpose, the more people who are not aligned with that purpose will naturally fall away. This is part of God's divine plan. It's not that these people are bad or that they have anything against you personally. It's that they are not yet ready to walk in the light you now carry. And that's okay. Everyone is on their own journey, and not everyone is meant to walk with you every step of the way. In fact, the more your authority becomes apparent, the more you will encounter people who will try to challenge you or distract you. They may attempt to provoke you, pull you off course, or undermine your authority. This is another reason why certain people can no longer look at you. They know they cannot engage with you in the same way they once did. They cannot sway you. They cannot manipulate you. And they certainly cannot control the energy you now carry. You have become a spiritual force, and for those who are not aligned with that force, it can be overwhelming. But do not shrink back in fear or doubt. Instead, walk boldly in your identity, knowing that you are not alone. God has positioned you for greatness, and your authority is part of the divine plan. Your light is meant to shine, and it will expose darkness, not to harm, but to bring about transformation. For some, that transformation will be uncomfortable, but for others, it will be the catalyst they need to come into the light. In closing, understand this. When people avoid looking you in the eyes, it is not a reflection of your worth or value. It is a sign of your spiritual elevation. It is a sign that you are walking in your divine purpose and that your light is shining brighter than ever before. Embrace this change and trust that it is part of the journey. As you continue to grow, more people will be drawn to your light. Some will choose to walk with you and others will retreat. But all of this is part of the divine plan that has been set before you, and nothing can stop the power and authority that God has placed within you. The reason demonic opposition turned into avoidance. There is a moment in every chosen one's journey when spiritual warfare begins to change form. Early on, you may have experienced demonic opposition that was loud, direct, and in your face. You may have faced attack after attack, moment after moment, where the enemy seemed to come at you relentlessly. But as you grew in your faith, as you deepened your understanding of God's will for your life, and as your authority in the spiritual realm solidified, the nature of that opposition began to shift. What was once aggressive and confrontational turned into something different: avoidance. At first, you may not have understood why things felt quieter. You might have assumed that the battle had stopped, that the enemy had simply given up on you. But the truth is, the enemy has not given up on you. He has changed his strategy. The reason demonic opposition turned into avoidance is because of the authority that now resides within you. When you became aligned with God's will, when you fully embraced your identity as a chosen one, something shifted in the spiritual realm. Your presence, your authority, and your unwavering connection with God began to make you a force that the enemy could no longer approach in the same way. Before you were sealed in divine authority, the enemy could target your weaknesses, exploit your fears, and manipulate your emotions. He could engage with your flesh, your insecurities, and your doubts. But now, as a chosen one, you have stepped into a level of spiritual power and protection that makes you untouchable in a way that is foreign to the enemy. He knows that he cannot engage with you in the same way anymore. He knows that your authority is backed by heaven itself, and that makes you a danger to his kingdom. The moment your spiritual authority was sealed, the enemy understood that direct opposition would only bring him defeat. He saw that every attempt to confront you head-on had only led to failure. Every time he tried to sow confusion, you were able to stand firm in the truth. Every time he tried to sow fear, you were able to rise above it with unwavering faith. Every time he tried to manipulate circumstances, you were able to see through the deception. The enemy realized that direct confrontation with you was no longer an effective strategy. You were no longer vulnerable to his attacks in the same way. You were no longer an easy target. So what did he do? He changed his approach. Instead of attacking you directly, the enemy began to avoid you. Instead of confronting you with temptation, lies, or distractions, he began to distance himself from you. This avoidance is not a sign of weakness on his part. It's a sign that he recognizes the spiritual power you now carry. He knows that he cannot control you, and therefore he seeks to avoid you altogether. This shift from opposition to avoidance is a form of respect. It is a recognition of your spiritual strength. When the enemy avoids you, it is not because he is afraid of your physical power, it is because he is aware of the spiritual authority you wield. He knows that engaging with you directly would only lead to his defeat. He knows that the light of God within you exposes his darkness and makes him powerless. So instead of fighting you, he chooses to avoid you, to look for weaker targets and to retreat into the shadows. But this avoidance is not without its challenges. Just because the enemy no longer confronts you in the same way doesn't mean the battle is over. Instead, it means that the battle has shifted. The enemy's strategy now focuses on trying to erode your peace from the outside, to sow confusion in your environment, or to provoke people around you into turning against you. He may not come at you directly, but he will use others to try and stir up division, strife, and doubt in your life. This is when you must stand firm in your authority and remember that no matter how subtle the opposition becomes, it is still a spiritual attack. One of the most profound ways the enemy avoids direct confrontation with you is by trying to work through your emotions. The demonic realm knows that emotions can be a gateway to spiritual weakness. If the enemy can get you to doubt yourself, to question your calling, or to become angry or frustrated with others, he can weaken your spiritual defenses. This is why it is crucial for you, as a chosen one, to guard your heart and mind. The enemy will try to sneak in through your emotions, hoping that you will respond in ways that will lower your spiritual frequency. When you feel frustration, anger, or doubt rising within you, it is a signal that the enemy is trying to provoke a reaction. Don't let him win. Stand firm in your identity and refuse to let him manipulate your emotions. Another way the enemy avoids confrontation is by using subtle distractions. When he can't attack you directly, he will try to distract you from your purpose. He will throw temptations, distractions, and unnecessary obligations in your path, hoping that you will become overwhelmed and lose focus on what truly matters. This is when you must stay rooted in your divine calling and remember that everything that happens around you is temporary. The enemy wants you to become so entangled in the small things that you lose sight of the big picture. But you are not called to be distracted. You are called to remain focused on your purpose, to press forward in faith, and to continue walking the path that God has laid out for you. The enemy will also try to avoid you by creating confusion in your relationships. He knows that you are called to walk in unity and love with others, and he will try to sow discord by causing misunderstandings, arguments, or divisions in your personal and spiritual circles. But you have been given the power to restore peace. You have been anointed to be a peacemaker, to bring unity where there is division, and to overcome any obstacle the enemy places in your path. When relationships become strained, it is a sign that the enemy is trying to work behind the scenes to weaken your connections and to isolate you. Stand firm in love and let your light shine in the midst of confusion. When you respond with love, the enemy has no power over you. What the enemy doesn't want you to know is that his avoidance is a victory for you. It is a confirmation that you are walking in your divine purpose and that you have already won the battle. The fact that he no longer confronts you directly is a sign that you have grown in spiritual authority and that your connection with God is stronger than ever. Your presence in the spiritual realm is now one that the enemy cannot ignore. Your very existence exposes darkness, and that is why he avoids you. He knows that you carry the light of God within you, and that light will always drive out the darkness. The avoidance is also a reminder that the enemy has been defeated. He is no longer allowed to engage with you on the same terms. His power is limited. The battle is already won, and he knows it. All he can do now is try to distract you, confuse you, and lead you into complacency. But none of these tactics will work if you continue to stand firm in your identity and your authority in Christ. When you resist the enemy, when you stand in your truth, when you refuse to be moved by his schemes, you are enforcing his defeat. In closing, understand this. Chosen one, The reason demonic opposition has turned into avoidance is not a sign of weakness on your part. It is a testament to the spiritual authority you now possess. The enemy can no longer confront you directly because he knows that doing so would lead to his defeat. Instead, he will try to work through subtle tactics, trying to distract, confuse, or provoke you. But none of his schemes will succeed as long as you remain rooted in your identity as a child of God, confident in your purpose and unwavering in your faith. The avoidance of the enemy is a victory, a sign that you are walking in the power of God's will and that your authority is recognized in the spiritual realm. Stand firm in that truth, knowing that the victory is already yours. How your silence became louder than incantations. There is a deep truth that many overlook. True power doesn't need to shout to be heard. When you are aligned with God's will and authority, there is an unspoken strength that emerges within you. It doesn't need validation, and it doesn't need to demand attention. It simply is. This power isn't found in the words you speak, the prayers you utter, or the actions you take. No, this power is found in your presence. The stillness that radiates from your soul when you are grounded in who you are and whose you are. And this silent strength is more powerful than the loudest incantations. In a world that often equates power with noise, visibility, and constant motion, the concept of silence as strength can be difficult to understand. We live in a society that rewards busyness, rewards constant action, and rewards the loudest voice in the room. But in the spiritual realm, silence speaks volumes. It carries weight that cannot be measured by human standards. Your silence, rooted in divine authority, holds more influence than the enemy's loudest attacks or most elaborate incantations. And it is this quiet power that you now possess. Many times, we are taught to fight with words, to defend ourselves with arguments, and to prove our worth through actions. We are conditioned to believe that if we're not constantly speaking up, fighting back, or striving for attention, we are weak or passive. But the truth is that for the chosen one, silence is not weakness. It is strength in its purest form. When you are spiritually aligned and in tune with God's purpose, your silence becomes a reflection of His presence within you. It is in this space of stillness that your authority is most clearly revealed. This is why, when you walk in your true identity as God's chosen, your silence carries more weight than any spell, incantation, or curse the enemy could ever speak. The enemy has always relied on noise to create distraction, fear, and confusion. He tries to stir up chaos through loud words, deceptive incantations, and manipulative tactics. But when you remain silent, when you stand still and anchored in your faith, it becomes a direct counter to the enemy's schemes. Your silence drowns out his noise, and this is why he cannot control you in the same way he once did. Silence is not the absence of sound. It is the presence of authority. When you are silent, you are no longer reacting to the chaos around you. You are no longer responding to the enemy's provocations. You are not engaging in spiritual battles with your flesh or emotions. You are simply being, allowing God's will to move through you without interference. And in this stillness, your authority is felt whether you speak a word or not. The enemy thrives on reaction. He wants you to react in fear, in anger, in frustration. He wants to provoke you into defending yourself, into justifying your position, into explaining your purpose. But when you refuse to engage with his distractions and provocations, when you choose to stand in your silence, you expose the enemy's weakness. His words fall flat because they can no longer find purchase in your heart. His incantations lose their power because they are confronted with the stillness of your faith. And this is why your silence becomes louder than any chant, any curse, or any incantation he can summon. One of the most powerful examples of this divine silence can be seen in the life of Jesus. When he was questioned by Pilate, he remained silent. He didn't need to defend himself. He didn't need to explain his actions or his purpose. He simply stood in the truth of who he was, and that truth was so powerful that it rendered his accusers speechless. His silence in that moment was louder than any argument or counterclaim. It spoke volumes about his divine authority and his complete trust in God's plan. When you align yourself with this same divine authority, your silence becomes a weapon in the spiritual realm, far more powerful than any verbal confrontation. Your silence also has the ability to disarm the enemy and those around you. The world may try to provoke you into responding emotionally, trying to drag you into debates, accusations, or conflicts. But when you remain silent, when you choose not to engage with the noise, you disarm the enemy of his weapons. You make it clear that you are no longer controlled by his tactics. You make it clear that your identity and your authority are secure in God, and no external force can shake that foundation. This is not to say that you should remain silent all the time, nor does it mean that you shouldn't speak up when necessary. Your voice is powerful, and there are times when God will call you to speak, to declare his truth, to share his wisdom, and to bring his light into dark places. But the point is that your silence, when it is aligned with God's will, is just as powerful, if not more so, than your words. Your presence, your peace, and your trust in God's plan speak volumes without you needing to say a word. The reason your silence becomes louder than incantations is because it is a reflection of your connection to the divine. You have learned to trust in God's power and in his timing. You have learned that you don't need to rush, argue, or fight for your place in this world. You simply need to remain anchored in his truth, and everything else will fall into alignment. The enemy may throw all kinds of distractions and challenges your way, but none of them can break the stillness that comes from God's presence in your life. Silence also carries with it the weight of wisdom. The more you walk with God, the more you understand that not every situation requires a response. Not every confrontation needs a fight. Not every challenge requires an explanation. In fact, the more you mature spiritually, the more you learn the art of silence. You learn that silence isn't about being passive or indifferent. It's about being secure in your identity, knowing that God is always at work on your behalf. Silence is the highest form of spiritual authority because it allows God to fight on your behalf, to move on your behalf, and to direct your steps without interference from your own flesh or emotions. As you continue to grow in spiritual maturity, your silence will become even more powerful. The more you lean into God's presence, the more you trust his plan, the more your silence will speak louder than anything the enemy can throw your way. Your silence will become a refuge for others, a place of peace in the midst of chaos. Your stillness will become a reminder that God is in control, that his plans are perfect, and that his power is unstoppable. In closing, chosen one, understand this truth. Your silence is not just the absence of sound. It is the presence of divine authority. It is the reflection of your trust in God's plan, your confidence in your identity, and your unwavering faith in his power. When you stand in silence, you stand in alignment with heaven. And in that alignment, your silence becomes louder than any incantation the enemy can ever summon. So stand firm in your silence. Let it be a declaration of your authority. Let it be a declaration that you are a chosen one, sealed by God, and that no weapon formed against you will prosper. Your silence is not passive, it is powerful, and it will always speak louder than the enemy's noise. What happens next, after darkness can't meet your eyes? When the darkness can no longer meet your gaze, something shifts in both the spiritual and physical realms. For the longest time, the enemy has tried to engage with you, to distract you, and to manipulate you through fear, confusion, and temptation. But now, your eyes have become mirrors of divine authority. The light of God that radiates from within you has exposed what once thrived in shadows. The darkness can no longer look at you without being consumed by the very light it has tried to extinguish. The enemy can no longer hold your attention or your focus. His tactics of intimidation and fear no longer have access to your spirit. So, what happens next? Once darkness no longer dares to meet your eyes, you step into a new level of spiritual awareness and authority. This shift is not just about what you can see or what you can do. It's about the space you now occupy in the spiritual realm. You have become a threat to the enemy, not through your own power, but because of the divine authority that God has placed upon you. And this shift opens up a series of transformations, both internal and external, that will guide you deeper into your purpose and destiny. First, expect greater spiritual clarity. When the enemy can no longer engage you through deception or fear, you will find your discernment sharper than ever before. You will begin to see things as they truly are, not just in the natural, but in the spiritual realm. What once appeared to be coincidence will now be seen as divine intervention. People's motives, intentions, and energies will become clearer to you. Your spiritual eyes, now trained to see through darkness, will allow you to make decisions with confidence and wisdom. You will no longer be led by confusion or uncertainty. Your steps will be ordered with precision, and the path ahead will appear to you with clarity. This newfound clarity will also affect your relationships. You will start to notice a shift in the way people respond to you. Some will be drawn to you more than ever, recognizing the peace and authority that radiates from your spirit. Others may feel uncomfortable, sensing the change within you, and may even pull away. You might begin to lose certain connections, and while that may feel isolating at times, understand that this is part of your elevation. As you walk in your divine calling, not everyone will be able to stay with you. Some people are meant to walk beside you for a season, but when your spiritual growth surpasses theirs, the relationship dynamics naturally change. This is not to cause division, but rather to help you stay focused on your purpose. You will also experience an increased level of spiritual warfare, but it will be different. When darkness cannot meet your eyes, it no longer has the same access to you. Instead of fighting battles of distraction, doubt, and fear, you will begin to encounter more subtle forms of opposition. The enemy knows that he cannot engage you directly, so he will attempt to work through external circumstances, through people, or even through your own thoughts. He will try to provoke you, to stir up division, or to create situations that threaten your peace. But because your spiritual sight is now clear, you will be able to recognize these attacks immediately. You will no longer be caught off guard. You will have the wisdom and strength to resist these attacks without allowing them to shake your foundation. Your spiritual strength will begin to manifest in new ways. When darkness no longer has a hold on you, you will find yourself standing firm in situations where you once would have wavered. You will feel a sense of unshakable confidence that comes not from yourself, but from the God within you. This confidence will not be arrogance, but rather a humble assurance in the authority you carry as a child of God. You will find that your presence alone begins to make a difference in the atmosphere. Where there was once tension, fear, or confusion, your peace will settle in and bring clarity and calm. People will feel your energy shift the room. Your quiet strength will become a source of comfort and security for those around you. This is the power of divine authority. It transforms the atmosphere without you needing to say a word. As you step into this new level of authority, you will also experience accelerated growth. When the darkness can no longer meet your eyes, it no longer has the ability to delay your progress. The forces that once hindered your development, whether they were emotional, mental, or spiritual, will begin to fall away. You will move forward with greater speed and efficiency. The doors that once seemed closed to you will begin to open, and opportunities will come your way that were previously blocked. You will find that the path to your destiny becomes less obstructed. What once felt impossible will begin to feel within reach. This is not because of your own strength, but because of the favor and grace of God that now surrounds you. As you walk in alignment with His will, He will make a way for you where there was no way. However, with this increased spiritual clarity and growth comes increased responsibility. The moment the darkness can no longer meet your eyes, you must understand that you are stepping into a new role. You are no longer simply a follower. You are a leader. And with leadership comes the responsibility to guide others, to protect your peace, and to remain steadfast in your faith. You will begin to feel a deeper sense of purpose, a calling to not just walk the path yourself, but to bring others with you. You will encounter people who are lost, people who are struggling, people who need the light you now carry. And as God uses you to help others, He will continue to equip you with the strength, wisdom, and understanding needed to lead with grace and humility. Spiritual authority does not come without trials. As you step into your authority, the enemy may attempt to deceive you into thinking you are no longer facing opposition, or he may try to convince you that you are exempt from the challenges of life. But understand that challenges will always be part of the journey. The difference now is that you will face them with a new perspective and a new level of authority. You will not be moved by the same tactics that once caused you to stumble. You will no longer be easily shaken by fear or distraction. Instead, you will stand firm, knowing that you are equipped for every battle that comes your way. After darkness can no longer meet your eyes, your testimony will become a weapon. As you continue to walk in your divine authority, your story will become a beacon of hope to others. The battles you have fought, the triumphs you have experienced, and the victories you have won will become testimonies of God's faithfulness. Your life will become a living testament to the power of divine authority. People will be drawn to you not because of who you are, but because of the God within you. Your testimony will speak to their hearts, offering them hope, encouragement, and the reminder that they, too, can overcome. Finally, you will discover that the battle is no longer about what is visible. When darkness can no longer meet your eyes, you will understand that the true fight is no longer with what you can see, but with what is unseen. You will move from fighting external forces to engaging in deep spiritual warfare. Your focus will shift from the things around you to the things within you. You will begin to wage war in the spirit, calling down heaven's authority, pulling down strongholds, and declaring victory in every area of your life. The battle is no longer about the circumstances. It's about your position in the spiritual realm. And as long as you remain aligned with God's will, you will continue to move from victory to victory. In conclusion, when darkness can no longer meet your eyes, you step into a new level of clarity, peace, and authority. The enemy no longer has access to your mind, your emotions, or your spirit. You are no longer bound by the distractions and lies that once held you back. Instead, you walk with a quiet strength, rooted in divine authority. As you move forward, you will experience greater growth, responsibility, and purpose. Your testimony will become a beacon of light to others, and you will continue to walk in victory, knowing that the battle is already won. Conclusion. You were never meant to be seen. You were meant to be recognized. Chosen one. Understand this truth deeply. You were never meant to be seen by the world in the way they see others. Your worth was never to be measured by the world's standards, nor was your purpose to be defined by human approval or recognition. You were meant to be recognized. Recognized by the divine, recognized by heaven, and recognized by the spiritual forces that understand the authority you now carry. The world may not always see you for who you truly are, but the divine sees you clearly, and the kingdom of heaven recognizes the authority placed upon your life. For far too long, you may have sought validation from external sources, looking for the world to notice your value, to acknowledge your gifts, or to recognize your efforts. But the truth is, your worth has never depended on human acknowledgement. Your recognition comes from God alone. It is not the applause of the crowd that elevates you, but the seal of divine approval that is already upon your life. God has already marked you as His chosen one, and that mark is far greater than any title or status the world could ever give you. In this new season, step forward confidently, knowing that you are recognized by the highest authority, the Creator Himself. Your recognition is not based on your visibility, but on your alignment with God's divine purpose. And as you walk in that truth, you will find that the world will begin to recognize you in ways you never expected, not because you sought their approval, but because your divine authority speaks louder than anything else. You were meant to be recognized, chosen one, and that recognition is eternal.